You sleep 8, even 9 hours, and you still wake up exhausted. Some days your body feels heavy, other days your mind is just slow. And this brain fog. So what's going on? Here what most people miss, and honestly what most doctors miss too. What if it's not about the hours? What if your brain was technically asleep, but never actually rested? I'm Dr. Timur. I've spent 14 years studying how the brain works and how to fix it. And what I'm about to show you might completely change how you think about sleep. First, let's be honest about something. When people say, I'm always tired, and every blood test comes back normal, they get dismissed, or told to sleep more, exercise more, stress less. That's not helpful, and it's not accurate, because there are two very different types of fatigue, and we need to separate them. The first is cognitive fatigue, what most people call brain fog. Your thinking is slow and heavy. You walk into a room and forget why you're there. You lose a train of thought mid-sentence. Tasks that used to be easy now feel like a lot of work. It's like your brain's processing speed has been cut in half. The second is physical fatigue. Heaviness in the body, muscle aches, that dragging feeling in your limbs. Just the thoughts of exercise feels overwhelming. This isn't a good kind of tired after workout. This is a different animal. And here's where it gets complicated. They often come together. And when they do, there is also a third state that's particularly frustrating. Being wired but tired. Your body is begging for rest, but your mind don't switch off. You're exhausted, but you can't sleep. You feel hyper alert, stuck in some kind of high stress mode. This combination, cognitive fatigue, physical fatigue, wired but tired, that's a very specific pattern, and it has a neurological explanation. The worst part, you tell people around you. You might even tell your doctor, and you get the same advice. Just sleep more, just manage your stress better, but you are sleeping, and you are trying, and it's not working. That frustration is valid, because the problem isn't your effort. It might be what's happening inside your brain while you sleep. So, if sleep isn't the problem, what is? From a neurophysiological standpoint, this kind of persistent, unexplained fatigue often comes down to two things working against each other: neuroinflammation and mitochondrial dysfunction. And when both are present at the same time, your brain is essentially running in crisis mode every night while you think you're resting. Let me explain both. First, neuroinflammation. You've heard of inflammation. If you cut your hand, this area gets red, swollen, and warm. That's your immune system responding to damage. That's normal and necessary. Neuroinflammation is the similar process, but inside your brain. Your brain has its own immune cells called microglia. Think of them as the brain's maintenance crew. Normally, they clear out waste, respond to injury, and protect the brain. They are supposed to activate, do their job, and then quiet down. But sometimes they don't quiet down. When microglia stay stuck in an activated state, constantly switched on, they release inflammatory chemicals called cytokines. And when these cytokines flood the brain, they disrupt communication between neurons. The signals between brain cells become noisy and slow. And that is literally what brain fog feels like at the cellular level. Your neurons struggling to hear each other through all that noise. What triggered this? Chronic stress, past infections, poor sleep, environmental toxins, and gut health problems, because the gut and the brain are in constant communication through what we call gut-brain axis. And here's the critical part. This kind of inflammation doesn't show on the standard blood test. That's why people get told they're fine, when biologically they're not. The second culprit, mitochondrial dysfunction. If you remember one thing from the biology classes, it's probably this. Mitochondria are the powerhouse of the cell. Their job is to take oxygen and nutrients and convert them into energy, specifically a molecule called ATP, which is the actual currency your cells use to do anything. Every thought, every movement, every signal your brain sends, all of it runs on ATP. Now, here's something important. Your brain is only about 2% of your body weight, but it uses around 20% of your body's total energy. It is extremely hungry. It needs a constant, reliable supply of ATP to function properly. Mitochondrial dysfunction is what happens when your cellular power plants start to fail. They can't produce ATP efficiently. And when the brain can't get enough energy, it doesn't just work a little worse, it really struggles. Thinking feels slow, decisions feel hard, everything feels like too much. Think of it like a city during a power shortage, not a blackout, a rolling shortage. Some things work, some things don't. Things keep cutting out at the worst moments. That's what's happening in your neurons when your mitochondria are underperforming. Here where it gets really important. And this is the part that most people don't understand. Neuroinflammation and mitochondrial dysfunction don't just coexist, they drive each other. When inflammation floods the brain with cytokines, it creates what we call oxidative stress, basically cellular damage from reactive molecules. Think of it as rust forming inside your cells. That oxidative stress directly damages your mitochondria. And when your mitochondria are damaged, they start leaking their own internal contents into the cell. Your immune system sees that as a danger signal and activates even more inflammation. Inflammation damages the mitochondria. Damaged mitochondria create more inflammation, and the cycle keeps going. So while you're lying in bed sleeping, your brain is fighting an internal battle. It's consuming enormous amounts of energy trying to manage cell crisis. And you wake up exhausted, because at a cellular level, your brain never truly rested. That's the hidden marathon, not a lack of sleep, a brain that's never got to recover. And in the next session, we're moving from the problem to what you can actually do about it. Understanding the problem is step 1. Now let's talk about how to break the cycle. The goal is to do two things at once: calm the neuroinflammation and support your mitochondria so they can repair themselves. Here are 4 areas to focus on. First, eat to reduce brain inflammation. The food you eat has a direct effect on brain inflammation. This isn't a metaphor. Certain foods promote inflammatory pathways, and certain foods actively help resolve them. A diet high in processed food, refined sugar, and damaged vegetable oils is pro-inflammatory. Full stop. What helps? Whole, unprocessed food. Colorful vegetables and fruits, if you don't have intolerance. They are rich in antioxidants, which neutralize the oxidative stress we talked about. Healthy fats matter too. Omega-3 fatty acids found in fatty fish like salmon or in walnuts are converted by the body into compounds that actively help restore inflammation in the brain. These are not optional extras, they are structural components of brain cell membranes. This isn't about a perfect diet, but about shifting the overall balance into a direction that helps your brain. Next, give your mitochondria what they really need. Just like an engine needs the right fuel, your mitochondria need specific nutrients to produce ATP efficiently. And many people with chronic fatigue are deficient in exactly this. The most important, creatine, of course. There is a complete breakdown on the channel, you can check it out. Coenzyme Q10. This is a critical part of the machinery inside your mitochondria that actually makes ATP. It's also a powerful antioxidant that protects mitochondria from damage. Your body produces it, but production declines with age and stress. Fatty fish and broccoli contain it, but often not in therapeutic amounts. Magnesium, involved in 300 biochemical reactions in the body, including the final steps of ATP production. A deficiency directly impairs energy metabolism, and magnesium deficiency is extremely common. And I have a video about magnesium also. B vitamins, especially B1, B2, and B3. These are essential cofactors for the energy pathways inside your mitochondria. Without them, the machinery doesn't run properly. Start with a nutrient-dense diet. If you suspect deficiencies, discuss targeted supplementation with a healthcare provider who knows how to evaluate this properly, not just look at whether you're above the minimum range or not. Next, optimize sleep for real brain recovery. You might be in bed for 8 hours, but if you're not getting enough deep, slow-wave sleep, the deepest stage of non-REM sleep, your brain isn't completing its cleanup cycle. During deep sleep, your brain activates the glymphatic system, a waste clearance network that flushes out metabolic byproducts, including inflammatory debris that accumulated during the day. If this process gets cut short or disrupted, those toxins accumulate, and that directly leads to inflammation. So the goal isn't just more sleep, it's better sleep architecture. A few things actually work. Consistent sleep and wake times. Same time every day, including weekends. This anchors your circadian rhythm, which controls the timing of your deep sleep stages. Morning sunlight. Get outside within 30 minutes of waking. Even 10 minutes of natural light, it's a powerful signal to your brain's internal clock. It sets the timer for when melatonin will be released at night. Reduce blue light at night. Screens emit light in a wavelength that suppresses melatonin. Turn off screens at least 1 hour before bed. This is not optional if you're having sleep issues. Lower the room temperature at night. Your brain needs a drop in core body temperature to enter non-REM sleep. Roughly 18 to 20 degrees works for most people. Cooler air supports the natural temperature decline that triggers restorative deep sleep. Next, move, but smartly. This one surprises people. When you're exhausted, exercise feels like the last thing you should do. But here what the science shows. Physical movement, even a gentle movement, stimulates a process called mitochondrial biogenesis. That's the creation of new, healthy mitochondria. Exercise essentially tells your cells, we need more power plants, build them. The key word is smart. If you have significant mitochondrial dysfunction, pushing too hard can actually make things worse. The goal is a gentle, consistent signal. Start with 20-minute walk, a gentle yoga session, some light resistance work. Consistency matters far more than intensity here. Over time, you're literally rebuilding your brain's energy capacity from the inside. If you've been living with this kind of deep, stubborn fatigue, the bone heavy, brain foggy, wired by tired kite, I want you to hear this clearly. This is not a lack of willpower. It's a biological signal. It is your brain and body telling you that here's the energy crisis happening, most likely driven by cycle of neuroinflammation and mitochondrial dysfunction. And once you understand that, the approach changes completely. Instead of trying just sleep more, you start asking, how do I reduce the inflammation? How do I support my mitochondria? How do I actually let my brain recover, not just rest? It takes time, it takes patience, but the biology is on your side. The other video you can check right here. See you in the next one.